Hello, everybody, and welcome. I am Sandra Scheinbaum. I'm founder and CEO, and I am here with Elyse Wagner. She's our co-founder, chief wellness officer, and we're so excited to talk to you today about the 6 branches of FMCA and answer any questions that you may have. So welcome. Thank you all for being here. So let's get started. FMCA is a collaboration with the Institute for Functional Medicine, and our curriculum is unique. When we started, which was way back in 2015, we had our first beta class, 26 students, and we spent a year before that, and it was in collaboration with the medical education leaders at IFM. We designed a curriculum, and we think it's pretty unique, and it was groundbreaking because it pulled together functional medicine with many of the areas that I had been very involved with teaching and guiding people, as I was an educator and then a psychologist for many, many years. So we created this curriculum, and that's what we're going to share with you for this webinar. What are these 6 branches of FMCA, and how can you as a health coach integrate all of these principles? So let's get started. So here they are: functional medicine, and functional nutrition, and positive psychology, mind-body medicine. Those are the so-called academic pieces. Those are the disciplines that we draw from and integrate. And then we put it together with the art and the science of coaching, the skills, the ways of interacting with the person that is your client, so that you can help them, you can guide them to lead healthy, happy lives. And all of this will be useless unless you have a career as a health coach. And we get a lot of questions. Well, will I be able to establish myself in this profession? And absolutely you will. And we are committed to career navigation. So we have a special approach to building a career that is heart-centered. So career navigation is the 6th branch. So I'm going to be talking about each one of these. Let's start with functional medicine. This is how we define ourselves. When you graduate from FMCA, you will be a functional medicine certified health coach. And that is pretty special because due to our collaboration with IFM, they are training the doctors and other practitioners, and you are being trained to partner with them, to get referrals from them. You will learn the language of functional medicine, including all of the tools and resources that IFM uses to train their doctors. Those that are coach appropriate, you will have access to. You will be learning from IFM senior faculty, and this content will be really important so that you can make an impact with clients and you can speak the same language as the doctors trained in functional medicine. And believe me, there's a growing number of doctors who are training in functional medicine. Why? Because functional medicine is the medicine of why. It asks, why does somebody have these particular symptoms, all of these conditions popping up at this time in their lives? We're going to dig down and uncover the root causes. And typically, those root causes are tied to how somebody is living their life. What are the choices that they're making? And those lifestyle factors are key areas that you as a coach will be addressing. And so what is a really important area Well, that leads us to number two, the second branch, and that is functional nutrition. So you may notice that this particular petal is gray, and that's exactly the opposite of what will be on somebody's plate when they are coached in functional nutrition. They're going to have the rainbow of colors, not that dull, boring gray, but they will have shades of yellow and purple, all of the colors of the rainbow that have the flavonoids, the phytonutrients that are so important. And increasingly, we're finding that they are the actual chronic disease treatment. And coaches play such a key role in helping people learn about these principles that come from functional nutrition. They're not nutritionists. So, as a coach, unless you have a background in nutrition, you will be functioning as a coach. And it is so powerful because coaches help people go from where they are now to where they want to be. And it's a very special relationship that you will develop with your clients. And it often involves making difficult changes around your food choices or your eating behaviors. So, how do you make those difficult choices? It's through positive psychology. This part of the curriculum, this third branch, and they are in no particular order of importance, they all intersect. The positive psychology is an area very near and dear to my heart because this was how I practiced when I was a psychologist. It was many years before it had a name. And we know from all the research in positive psychology that it is how people thrive. So, positive psychology asks, what do people need to thrive? What really constitutes well being? And it intersects so nicely with the functional medicine way of looking at how people thrive. So these operating systems of functional medicine, functional nutrition, positive psychology work in tandem. It's not either or. And what we teach you is how to incorporate all of these principles during a session with a coach with your as with a client. As you are working, you will be able to incorporate all of these different tools or research findings that come from these disciplines. So again, positive psychology asks, what do we need to thrive, to get from where you are to where you want to be? What constitutes a life well lived? They often turn to character strengths, and you're going to do a deep dive into character strengths. What is best about you? Another branch that is equally important is mind body medicine. So, mind body medicine simply is this concept: what's real in the mind is real in the body. And if you knew me in the 70s and you were listening to one of my talks, I did a lot of talks in places like the local public library. And this would have been one of my slides, although I don't even know back in the 70s if we even have slides. It definitely didn't have the PowerPoint that we have today. So it might have been an overhead projector with this on it, because this was something that I talked about. And at that time, it was considered pretty radical because the mind and the body were thought to exist in pretty separate zones and they didn't communicate. Well, now we have a whole body of research saying that they do. And you can, through mindfulness practice, through different way of thinking, interpreting, different ways of breathing, you can create profound physiological changes. And so a big piece of our curriculum will be about developing the kind of mind-body practices that will help people to get healthier. And not only for that client, but also for you as the coach. A huge part of FNCA is caring for the coach, learning to cultivate your own self-care practice, and also the knowing that you will be transformed through the process of coaching. So that brings us to the art and science of coaching. And we will focus on all of the classic coaching techniques like motivational interviewing, which you may have heard about. We are blessed to have BJ Fogg on our faculty teaching the Tiny Habits method. And we will do a thorough uh, coverage of all of the ways that coaches can help people change. And it is an art, and it also is a science, meaning there's a lot of research behind this. And it also entails creativity. There's an art to coaching, and you all have that. Creativity is a character strength that you all have. So, what are we doing as coach? We're facilitating change. And this process is very, very powerful. And it's so powerful that you, the coach, will be transformed as well when you're creating this deep connection with another human being. And you're also creating a process that is increasingly being sought after by medical practices. We consider coaching the most powerful tool that our practice has. This is Dr. Cheng Ron, who runs the Texas Center for Lifestyle Medicine. I was fortunate enough to have Dr. Ron be my guest last night on Clubhouse, if you're familiar with that new social media auditory only platform. And Dr. Ron was speaking about how he uses health coaches in his practice. And he made a dramatic statement. He said, coaching is so powerful that, and it also is now possibly through group medical visits, for example, and remote patient monitoring, we're seeing more and more doctors, more medical practices seeking coaches. And so Dr. Ron made the statement last night that he sees a day in the not too distant future where every primary care practice is going to have a health coach. And I was just jumping up and down because that's what Elyse and I have always said. That's our mission, to have a health coach in every practice. And here was Dr. Cheng Ron saying that this is his mission as well. He hires coaches for his practice, and he hires FMCA coaches, I should add. And just this morning, he also asked me to participate in a summit that he is doing for physicians, talking about the special role, the importance of coaches in medical practice. So stay tuned for more information, and just know that we are committed to helping our graduates land jobs, helping create connections with doctors, and know also that not only are you serving clients, but you are serving these medical professionals who often are burned out. And we have a big problem with physician burnout. And we are on a mission to show that health coaches can serve medical practices. And as a result, burnout decreases. And there's documentation to show that. So finally, we get to number 6, and that is the FMCA's Guide to Career Navigation. We have a complete track that is all about the ins and outs of creating a career, launching a career, as well as how to market and how to connect with referral sources. So it is comprehensive, because it is about building a successful, what we are committed to is a heart-centered business. And we have some of the best faculty who are leaders in sales, in marketing, and helping people grow their businesses. And so I like this image because it shows the heart and the brain, and that represents the two big areas in our career navigation series. And that is heart-centered, when you are genuine, when you are a giver rather than a taker. That resonates. You will connect with people, and that as a result will be how you get clients and how you get referral sources and how you land jobs. But it is also the cognitive part, and that is learning how to set up a business. For example, what do you need? Should you be an LLC? and also learning about things like risk management, liability insurance, and confidentiality, some of the structural pieces as well, or the need to knows about financial management, for example. So we will cover that. And we have it in our core curriculum. We also have it as a huge part of our alumni program. So these, again, are the areas that we integrate. And that's what we created when we founded FMCA. We merged functional medicine because we're a collaboration with the Institute for Functional Medicine. It's who we are, teaching functional medicine principles. So you will be a functional medicine certified health coach. And we merge that with functional nutrition, positive psychology, mind-body medicine, the art and science of coaching is how you take all of those principles and you put them together and you create a connection with your client. And then that all would be just in a vacuum unless you told the world about the value that you will bring. So we invite you to join us and be a part of the movement that's transforming healthcare. And we have a special offer of $500 off. Here's the promo code FOUND, FOUND. And just note that it does expire on 8/17 at 11:59 p.m. Central Time. So imagine yourself as a functional medicine certified health coach. That's actually our first assignment. We really believe in the power of setting intentions, of dreaming. You will hear speakers like Mary Morrissey talk about designing your dreams. And so we hope that one of those dreams will be launching a career as a functional medicine health coach, because believe me, the world needs you badly. During this current time, we're seeing people who are suffering, and we see healthcare systems waking up to the need for health coaches. And so we're excited to grow our mission, and we hope that you will join us on that mission, because so many of our coaches come to us because they have a desire to serve others, to find meaning and purpose through this really important work. And I know that that is so many of you who are listening now. So I am going to stop sharing my screen, and now we're going to open it up to answer questions that you may have.
All right. Thanks, Sandy. Thanks, everyone, for joining us today, whether you're watching live or recorded. And Susie is in the chat as well. And if you're watching live, feel free to post a question and we will definitely answer that. And I already see a question in there, and we'll get to that just in 1 second. And thank you for submitting the questions that you did. There's some really great open-ended questions here. Lindsay writes in, she goes, what types of careers are most common for those who have joined this program with little to no functional medicine experience?
Well, the sky's the limit. You will get that education in functional medicine as a student. And this is what you need to be a coach is a good listener and being curious about the person that you are coaching. And so functional medicine doctors who are trained at IFM have introduction to us. We have, for example, a robust program through our alumni program where participants going through training at IFM, when they go on the elimination diet, they're paired with one of our graduate health coaches. So you will get experience that way. So you'll get a lot of experience learning how to coach, learning about how you use functional medicine principles, how you explain them to clients. And after that, it's up to you. You may want to work for a medical practice. You may want to start your own coaching business. You may want to work in corporate wellness or one of the tech companies who are also increasingly hiring health coaches. And we have a job board after graduation for alumni. And we love making those connections and helping you brainstorm what to do. So both Elyse and I have office hours. You will have access to those as a student. Should you stay on for our alumni program, you will continue to have that access. And that's one of the things we would do. We would brainstorm with you. Where do you want to be? What would you like to do with your career?
Yeah, I would totally agree with that. The sky is the limit. We have so many students who are multi-passionate, have different backgrounds, and are bringing in, really weaving in all of their backgrounds. So it's really exciting and fun to see. And there's a question that came in. How deep is the dive into nutrition and gut health, obesity, and heart disease?
So it is a deep dive. What it does not dive into are those concepts in biochemistry, for example, things that would be really much more appropriate for a medical audience. But it's taking every one of these concepts and looking at them from a functional medicine lens, and then being able to explain them to clients. That's really the key. So we give you access. There's resources if you want a deeper dive. But the most important thing is to be able to take these concepts and explain them. That's what the experts who do have like the deepest dive, often the academics, they don't have the communication of experience, or do not know how to take these concepts and make them understandable, and therefore people won't change. So we teach these concepts, but again, they are for you as a coach to put them into practice, not to pass a board exam or regurgitate, the workings of the biochemical networks, or how everything would be. For example, again, those, if you picture those slides, and IFM has lots of them, of the workings of the cell and the networks. And I remember my IFM training, there were physicians who ran out in frustration. I don't understand what any of this is. It was such a deep dive into the biochemistry. So I hope that answers your question.
Okay, so another question came in. Would we be assigned a mentor initially?
So you will be in cohort groups, and your course facilitator will be a wonderful guide, navigator, and mentor for you. So absolutely.
Okay, and another question came in. This is from a nurse. We have a lot of nurses in the program. How do your nurses like the program?
Oh, our nurses, I love, we have so many nurses, and they absolutely, it resonates with them, because nurses are often very frustrated. They want to engage with their patients, whether they're working in a hospital or medical practice. And they are naturals. As a nurse, you're a natural. You came to nursing because you had a mission to serve, to help others. You have a calling. And this resonates so much with the nursing profession. And I should add that you will also then, and we have many graduates who are doing this. One comes to mind, her name is Maria. She is going out now and helping nurses who are exhausted and burned out. And she is using the coaching process and MindBody Medicine techniques to help them with their own self-care and nurturance.
So, in regards to, for all the nurses out there who are listening in, a question came in. What's the difference between this specific health coaching program and a nurse specific coaching program?
Sure. Well, this program is putting together functional medicine, functional nutrition, positive psychology, and MindBody Medicine, and focuses on integrating all that with the coach approach. And the nurses coaching approach would be mostly directed towards those nurses who want to use a coach approach with and stay as a nurse. So we also cover that, but we add more pieces to it. Typically, it's a much deeper dive into positive psychology. And also there, because we have cohort groups. And this is a very diverse group of people. Your cohort group, by the way, you become really close to them, but you will not just be in a group of nurses. You will have so many people from different walks of life in your cohort group that you will learn from one another. So that is what's really special. These groups are about 10, 15, up to 15 people, sometimes a little smaller in that group, and you stay together for your entire year of learning.
So this is a two-part question. One of the questions is, what is the time commitment on a weekly basis? And then what does it look like for graduates who are working as a coach after they're completing the program? What does the time commitment look like there?
Sure. So I think the answer to both is it depends. There's so many variables. What type of learner are you? What is your experience? What do you already know that's part of the curriculum? Or how some people, for example, love to print out everything and underline and go very old school and memorize every detail. Others, and I would recommend the latter method, are focusing on having access to information, but it's not about facts and figures and content. Coaching is about the process, and that is something that's experiential. So, in terms of a time commitment, the only absolute requirement would be the time that you meet in your cohort group. So, when you enroll, you will choose a day, a time that meets your unique schedule. And then twice a month, you will meet for 2 hours in these cohort groups. And again, it'll work for you because you've chosen that schedule. Now, of course, there could be unforeseen circumstances, and if you have to miss, there's an allowance for that for a couple of sessions. Other than that, you're on your own, and you can say, I'm going to devote half a day twice a week to doing the readings and watching webinars, or perhaps I'm going to do it all at once, one full day or a couple hours a day. And so it does vary. As far as afterwards, when you are a graduate, it would be the same thing. Some people are keeping their so-called day job and they're starting to coach on the side, and maybe they have one client and they're building up slowly. Others are going at it full speed ahead, and they are creating the business. They are working. They decide this is going to be my life's work, and I'm going to devote quite a bit of time to building this business. We also encourage you to have to connect with others and collaborate and network, and that is the way that you're not going to be spending hours and hours like, how do I build a website, or I don't know how to do launching a sales campaign, for example, if that happens to be you. Well, there are people who can help you with that, and that's one of the things I just love to guide people as far as what are those resources that are out there, so you don't have to do it all yourself and spend hours and hours.
All right. So I think Christine is on live. Christine, great question here. Christine says, I don't consider myself very gifted in science, chemistry, and wonder how the program supports those of us who are more right-brained.
All right. Well, I can resonate with that because I never found myself very gifted. In fact, just the opposite. In fact, I just have to tell you a little story. So I've lived in a house for over 35 years, and we're now moving and downsizing a bit. So I've been going through memorabilia, and lo and behold, I came upon my test scores. Like, when you're a child, you get those test scores in eighth grade, for example. And I just thought, oh no, like I was always good in English, but math and science, like I could see, like that curve, it dipped way down. So I was never good, and I always thought that I'm not very good at math. We tell ourselves these things often from early on. But the truth of the matter is that I bet you are really much more skilled in these areas that you are giving yourself credit for. Also, rest assured that this is not I had such a deep dive into the biology. You're not going to be doing calculus. You're not going to be studying biochemistry if you have PTSD from those times in high school or college, organic chemistry. That's not what this is about. This is about understanding how systems of the body work together, how, for example, gut dysfunction may lead to a mood disorder, for example, how inflammation is driving chronic disease. So we present this, our faculty, and as I said, they're senior faculty from the Institute for Functional Medicine. They're really excited about giving a different type of lecture than what they give at IFM. They're taking these principles based on science, but they're making them come to life so that you as a coach should say, yeah, wow, I understand it. It's often through stories, through analogies. And then you can take those stories. And then when you're listening, as Tom O'Brien, you may be familiar with him, he's on our faculty, he's fond of saying, Mrs. Patient, like you have a tube down your body. And so you will learn how to explain those things so that you will really make a difference for your patients, or for your clients, I should say. We call them clients to denote that you're not a medical doctor.
And Christine, I would just say, rest assured, you're not alone. We have about 40% of our student body that is coming from all different backgrounds: marketing, accounting, engineering, and then about 60% are coming from a health-related background. So you are in good company, and definitely will have the support. There's another question that is coming in around, okay, how do you differentiate your program from all the other coach programs out there?
We are the program that has an exclusive collaboration with the Institute for Functional Medicine. What does that mean? Well, in addition to having their faculty teach for our program using the same or slide decks that are part of that, our curriculum is based on their approach to functional medicine. And it's also about the relationships. So the community that is the larger functional medicine ecosystem is what you will be now belonging to. And that includes all the doctors and other practitioners who trained with IFM, who will train with IFM, and they know FMCA. In fact, we're talked about a lot in their training modules. So they know that they need to work with a coach because it's the key to their patients thriving and they're thriving themselves. And we also have projects that are ongoing with IFM. And that includes matching our coaches for when they have their participants going through the elimination diet, as I said earlier. And so these are relationships that are being developed. And through this collaboration agreement that we have with IFM, those relationships, we've seen it happen time and time again, where doctors will come to our alumni director and say, I only want to work with, or I only want to hire an FMCA graduate.
Yeah, absolutely. And Christine asks, are there times that are EU friendly?
Yes, when you select a cohort group, we have many people from all over the world. And so you pick a time that works with your time zone that's convenient for you.
Okay. And then there was another great question that came in talking about being scared and afraid to put yourself out there as a coach. How do we at FMCA support our students in getting out there to coach and do this wonderful work?
Oh, that is so near and dear to my heart. And I know it's to Elise's as well. Through our office hours, we guide people to look at their fears. To often it's imposter syndrome, which is so common, and that is what a major section of our career navigation curriculum is about. And we've brought in the best of the best, people like Mary Morrissey, like Michael Fishman, big names who have helped people with a positive mindset. And so we focus a lot on overcoming fears. We have talks related to overcoming fears. We have a Broadway actress. Her name is Sandra Joseph. She was the longest running actress on Broadway. She played Christine in Phantom of the Opera. And so she gives a talk where she says, I never lost that fear. You feel the fear and you do it anyways. And she walks you through exactly how that process works and how you thrive, and accept what is, then that feeling is completely normal. Everybody, no matter how successful they are outwardly, feels that to some degree, and we will work with you. We're committed to helping you to overcome that and have the mindset of going after what you want boldly, because as a functional medicine health coach, you are sought after. I can't tell you how many testimonials we get from doctors or from saying, oh, your graduates are the best of the best.
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing. And another question came in. I love this question. You all are being very vulnerable, and we really appreciate that. Do you think it's a deficit to enter the program without any medical background?
It's a strength. Let me tell you about Dr. Christy Hughes. Christy, you may know her. She, for many years, was the director, one of the directors of medical education on the leadership team for the Institute for Functional Medicine. She was also chief medical consultant for many companies, supplement companies. She traveled the world training doctors, very high level position. And she was on our advisory board when we started and helped develop the curriculum. And so she teaches, so she'll be one of your teachers. She's a phenomenal teacher, senior faculty at IFM as well. And she last year decided she was going to train to become a coach because she was in transition. And we have many doctors who are coming to train to be health coaches. And she chose that path. And so she went through our program as a student. And I want to say, with all honesty, and she said this and she's talked about it publicly, she said, I was struggling more than people in my cohort group who had no experience, no medical experience. Because why would that be so? Because she was approaching coaching as an expert. Just do it. Here's the plan. Here's what I want you to do in terms of the nutrition plan. Here's the exercise plan I'd like you to follow. They couldn't just do it. And so she was struggling. She was struggling to pull back, to really listen. And so this is also, she's not the only one. We've heard from many others. And the fact that you are coming to coaching, you already have what it takes. You have curiosity about learning another person's story. You have a love of learning. And so you will gather experience and information. And first and foremost, you're a good listener and a desire to serve others.
Awesome. So there is another question that comes in from Christine. She is asking, is this course self-paced? How long is the course? And can one complete the course in less than 12 months?
Well, the course is self-paced in terms of all the content that you will be exposed to. And what is not self-paced is what's called synchronous learning. And that's where you meet like this over Zoom. It's very, very powerful. And those would be where you choose a time and then you come every 2 weeks to your cohort group. And so that is the way it is structured. And we particularly structured it over 12 months because there are many programs that are, you can go through and yeah, I've got, a few months and I'll be certified. And so I would ask you to consider this. Suppose that we believe firmly that you need that time to be nurtured, to grow into becoming a health coach. It's a process that unfolds. And as you go through this process, you will become more and more confident and more skilled. So consider other professions. For example, let's say you were looking at undergoing a surgical procedure, brain surgery, for example, and there were two doctors. The first one went through medical school, they did an internship, a residency, a fellowship. And so it was think about how much time doctors spend in school learning and then practicing as they go out and through their internship and residency. Now imagine there was a second doctor and they just did it in a few months online. They just watched a few training videos of perhaps like you'd see on YouTube, like this, okay, this is how you do brain surgery. Who would you trust if you were needing that type of medical intervention? And I would bet that you would trust those who have the more extensive training to that, so that, and they have, as a result of that process, they have been mentored, they have been guided, they have been supervised, and they've gotten feedback to hone their skills.
All right, so there was another question, and this question was about, okay, if you've been in the medical field for some time, will this be beneficial? If so, how? Can you give some examples?
Sure. So one example is a physician who chose the coach approach because they wanted to have a better connection with their patients. And so they went through the program so that they can be better doctors. Another person that comes to mind, she's a massage therapist, and she had been working for many years. And she felt that it was becoming increasingly difficult and she didn't want to just continue as a massage therapist. She wanted to add coaching. And so now she wears two hats. She has her massage therapy clients, her coaching clients. And we teach you how to create agreements. So perhaps one of your massage clients wants to also get coaching. So that would be another model. Some people have chosen, they have a background in a medical field, and they're ready to make the switch 100%. So they want to switch to becoming just coaches. And that could be from any type of medical specialty. We have a good friend and colleague. She's been our colleague for many, many years. She's a doctor. She's a neurologist, Dr. Gokani, and she recently she's board certified in neurology, and she is no longer seeing patients as a neurologist. She has shifted and is opening a coaching practice. So this is another pattern that we are seeing. So I think it depends on you and what that medical specialty is for you, and then where you want to be. We do a lot of focusing on, well, where do you want to be? And that is the coach approach. And so coming to the office hours that Elyse and I both have would be a great way to workshop this with us. And we would help you to define where you would like to be with the medical training and specialty that you have.
Yeah, and oh, there's some really great questions coming in. I'm going to scoot back over to this one. And I would also just say to that, if you have some other questions around that, our admissions team is here to support you and answer those personalized questions. You can email us at admissions@functionalmedicinecoaching.org. You can call us at 855-270-3622. All of our admissions team members are graduates of the program, so they can give a great perspective and just support you in your decision-making process. Another question came in about written assignments and exams. What do those look like in the program?
Well, they do not look like what you may remember from high school or college. This is not a traditional program where you have midterms and final exams. You do not have formal papers to write. Most of our assignments are personal reflections. For example, we have some examples of questions pertaining to case studies that we will be shared. We do a lot of coaching in action. What are those? Those are videos that you will watch where you will see a professional actor actually at being a coach or being the client. And then one of our coaches will show coaching techniques, what it actually looks like in real time, in real life. And you will be watching that, you will be asked to comment. And then we are a school that is approved by the National Board for Health and Wellness Coaching. That means you can sit for their board certification exam. And in order to qualify as a school that's approved, we have practical skills development sessions where you will be coaching and you get feedback and positive support from your course facilitator through that process. So that would be the practical skills part of this that is an evaluation.
Wonderful. So a question came in, and this person writes, I'm most likely going to sign up for the coaching program, which is super exciting. She just finished the course to be an AFMCP. She's a nurse practitioner in pediatrics and is just wondering, are there any details on pediatrics in the course?
Yes, so we don't have a dedicated section on pediatrics. We have many graduates who have chosen to specialize in pediatrics, and it sounds like with your area of interest and specialty, that would be a natural. And so this comes up a lot. For example, in my office hours, we talk about it. So it is more something that might be, we have discussion boards, we have groups that form special interest groups, and we often have Ask the Expert presentations. And so we've had, for example, Dr. Elyse Wagner, you may know her. She's a functional medicine pediatrician. And so she will come on and talk about a special approach working with kids. Dr. Roseanne Kapana-Hodge is another person. She is a psychologist, specializes in working with kids with neurodevelopmental disorders. Dr. Ellen Anton as well has a practice that is connected with helping kids with PANS and PANDAS. So we will bring in experts on those topics. It is not a formal track that we have, but what we do is we take those 6 branches that we shared earlier, which are functional medicine, functional nutrition, positive psychology, MindBody Medicine, art and science of coaching, and career navigation. We will help you tailor this to your particular interest group. I wanted to add something that I forgot, the question about exams. We have quizzes. These are not graded. These are for your own learning. So after watching content, there will be a quiz so that you can check to see if you have mastered those concepts.
Okay, great. So there's another question about the faculty and what role do our faculty play in the program? They see Mark Hyman. Does he teach a class? What does that look like?
Yes. Our faculty present webinars, they are interviewed, and they are asked the experts. So we have a core group, and that is Dr. Joel Evans, Monique Class, Christy Hughes, Lyra Heller. We have Dr. Margarita Tarragona, Laura Taylor in positive psychology. So some of our educators play a larger role than others, but some are, we have a business track faculty as well. And so they have recorded webinars and they are being interviewed. They will often come in for special workshops as well as rotating basis. They are the Ask the Experts. So what that means is that you can submit questions and they will come on a Zoom call and answer those.
All right. And Adriana asks, how well is our institute known in Europe?
Yes, well, growing. Again, thanks to our partnership with Institute for Functional Medicine, they are growing globally. And so we are as a result. And we have graduates who are in different countries who are pioneers. And they may have started a few years ago when there was nobody who knew about even functional medicine. We have had students in parts of the world where they are the only one. There's no functional medicine doctors. And they have been very courageous, and they've gone out and they have told their story. And as a result, they are growing very successful businesses. They are collaborating with others. So we have a big international contingency, who that is one of our course facilitators and missions counselor. Her name is Manaz, Saudi Arabia, and she is committed to growing this movement around the world. And we've seen that happening, particularly in the last year, as the world, as we all know, has suffered so much, and coaches are so badly needed.
So another question is, what if I become a health coach? Are hospitals open to such services?
If I had been asked this question in 2015, I would have said, well, no, that's a really tough nut to crack, but no more. Hospitals are hiring health coaches. There's been a huge awakening to the need for what health coaches do, because the incidence of chronic disease is growing exponentially, and the traditional way of addressing these conditions is not working. Healthcare costs are soaring, and hospitals need help. And so there are increasingly, one example that is a role model is the Cleveland Clinic. They have a Center for Functional Medicine that from the get-go, in fact, I was involved when this was in 2015, when they were just starting, and I was consulting to help their health coaches. This was through an IFM initiative, because Cleveland Clinic is partnering with IFM. And on our Clubhouse call with Cheng Ran, he talked about the work that he is doing, gathering data on the effectiveness of using health coaches. This was specifically for group visits, and he talked about several hospitals that he is working with. So this is growing and rapidly changing. So there are doors opening that never existed before, and we're thrilled about it.
Absolutely. And Bridget asks, can you describe the amount of content around lab tests and how to interpret tests?
Yes. So we teach about labs, and the information is there for your own benefit, for your own knowledge. And then within the coach scope of practice, what you want to do is to be able to support clients to understand what a test means, to educate them, and also to collaborate with other professionals whose scope of practice allows in directly interpreting a lab result for each individual. And so to answer your question more specifically, we do not teach you how to interpret labs with the intention that you are going to go out and do that and for individual clients, but you will be familiar with what labs measure and what specifically the functional medicine lab tests. That's what we're talking about. Some of these specialty tests that functional medicine doctors use. And it's important to know this because you could be working in a medical practice and you want to be familiar with all of the ins and outs of labs.
So there's another question that came in from Maria, and she is asking, have you found the health coaching job or career to be a good one while raising a family?
Wow. Yes. I can't tell you how many people we have worked with as they are students and now graduates who have families, often large families. I think it was in our beta class, right? At least we had somebody who was homeschooling 5 kids, and she went through the program. And not only that, but she had some issues with where they were living. There might have been some natural disaster, unfortunately, where they had to move and evacuate. And so she had that going on. She was homeschooling. She was also working as well. So she had a job. And so she was committed to this learning. And what is so wonderful about these areas, these branches, is that you're not just learning this content because you're going to need it professionally. You're learning it for you. And so if you have challenges, whatever those might be, or if you have a stressful life or kids are stressful and you're wondering, how am I going to do this? Well, you will be transformed. And we have quote after quote from graduates who've said this. I came in thinking I just wanted to learn the functional medicine piece. What I didn't realize was I was personally transformed. I was using these principles, particularly positive psychology, and they were helping me. I was able to cope better with the demands of my work, of raising a family, relationship demands, and my loved ones. It was a spillover effect. They were being influenced. That's the power of these principles, these 6 branches, the power of community.
Absolutely. I just can't tell you enough how many people have been transformed personally and professionally.
Yeah,
Um,
and your cohorts will support you. So you're
yeah,
raising, you'll have people, you'll connect within your cohort group, and you'll be all sharing, like, how you're making this work, what you're learning, and how you're raising your family at the same time.
yeah, it's absolutely amazing. There's a huge ripple effect. And I know we just have about 4 more minutes left, so we're going to try and get some questions in. I do want to let you all know that we want to answer your questions, and we are here to support you. So if we didn't get to a specific question or answer it to your liking, you can reach out to us personally. Admissions@functionalmedicinecoaching.org. We'll put the email in the chat as well, and you can call us as well. Just head over to our website. There's in the navigation bar, there's a little contact us. Just click on it, and all the ways to contact us are in there. Great question coming in about what resources do you provide as next steps in starting a practice?
Oh, well, that's our alumni program. But we also have, throughout our core program, we have our coach navigator. And you will, starting from month 1, have those resources. It begins with mindset. We dig into all of the specifics that you need to start a practice, the legalities, for example, as well as the marketing, the sales strategies, and helping you to grow confident that you can do this, about how to collaborate, we cover all of those areas. And then we also continue, so your learning doesn't stop. If you choose to be part of our alumni program, we have mentoring, we have connect, collaborate, and build. We continue to have experts coming in these areas of growing your career. And then there's always my office hours and Elyse's, where you can come in if you're struggling with something, in terms of where you want to go with your career. It could be something like what we call the elevator speech, and how to perfect that, and how to have a huge presence in the world.
So we have time for one more question. And a question came in about a success story. And Sandy, we have a lot, but can you share just a success story that bubbles up to your mind about one of our, or a couple of our grads as we close out for this webinar today?
Sure. So one person comes to mind. This was, her name is Anandita. She was in our first class. And I remember she said to me, I'm in Mumbai. And she was the only person in Mumbai. Nobody knew what functional medicine was. Nobody had heard of health coaching. And her daughter had eczema. She wasn't getting better. And so on her own, Anandita she found Mark Hyman. She started changing her daughter's diet. So she started to make progress. That's what led her to enroll, because she didn't want other kids to suffer the way her daughter had suffered. And so she was a student as she graduated, and she didn't think she'd ever, there was not exactly a friendly climate in Mumbai at the time towards functional medicine and health coaching. But she started telling her story to everybody, including her daughter's dermatologist, who had tried everything medically, and their daughter was just getting worse. And so she was amazed, like, oh, look at this progress she made. And then she started asking Anandita, what is health coaching and functional medicine? She was curious. So long story short, she encouraged this doctor to train in functional medicine. They ended up opening a clinic together. Anandita has written blogs and books and is really thriving, not only in Mumbai, but now remotely all over the world. And so that is just one of many, many stories.
So that concludes our webinar for today. I just want to say thank you so much for your time and your presence and your wonderful questions. If we didn't get a question or get to your specific question or answer it in depth, please do reach out. You can call us. I have put the phone number as well as the email address to get in contact with us, and we would love to just support you on your journey. So with that, thank you so much for joining us today.
And thank you so much. So remember, the code is FOUND, FOUND, for that special $500 off, which expires on August 17th. And in closing, I encourage you to imagine yourself as a functional medicine certified health coach making a real difference in the world. Thank you so much. I'm honored that you tuned in and join us. Bye, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.